News at 6 starts now. Hello everyone, Diana is away. There are new developments this hour in that deadly bacterial outbreak. New numbers just released show more people may have died from listeriosis. A federal official tells CBC News 15 deaths may now be associated with the outbreak. 6 of those are confirmed. The other 9 remain under investigation. They may be cases where people had the bacteria in their systems when they died. Among those 9, an additional death here in Ontario. There are other developments too, a class action lawsuit, more recalled products, and the Toronto plant at the center of the outbreak remains closed. Michelle Chung is there live and she begins our coverage tonight. Michelle.
Well, I'm standing outside the Maple Leaf food plant that had hoped to open today, but health officials are saying that's not going to happen for at least a few more days. Meanwhile, more people are coming forward complaining about listeriosis symptoms, wondering if they've been infected.
443.
Jeff Newfield has survived a heart attack, quadruple bypass surgery, and the removal of his pancreas. And now he's worried he may have listeriosis.
I've made a doctor's appointment, obviously, and I'm going to have this checked out. You know, I want to be safe rather than sorry.
Newfield says he's been suffering from diarrhea and fever since the weekend after eating listeriosis until he saw the code on the packaging, 97B. It matched the Maple Leaf deli meat on the recall list.
When I see like 12 people dead and they're talking about the elderly, I don't consider myself elderly, you know, I'm in my mid-50s, but I've got the health history that isn't really that great.
This lawyer has been hearing many stories like Newfield's. He's filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of those who've gotten sick and the families of victims who've died after eating the contaminated meat.
I just know that there are a great many people who have suffered, are worried, and they are deserving of compensation.
In the meantime, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has expanded its recall list. It's ordered Dominion and A&P to pull their fresh-to-go turkey sandwiches from their shelves. Back in Bowmanville, Newfield has decided to join the class action lawsuit, although he says he would prefer to find out he doesn't have listeriosis.
Yeah, I'd like to have food that I know is not going to harm me. And if it means just calling up Maple Leaf and saying, look, I want my $42 worth of meat back, give me a coupon. I'd be happy.
Well, there's someone who's not very happy here at the Maple Leaf plant. A fellow who owns the plastic crete moldings company next door to the Maple Leaf plant is quite upset that there's so much action around the closure of this plant. Anyway, the lawyer who's initiated this lawsuit has said that there's about 960 people who have signed on. Now, they break down into 3 groups: people who have eaten the meat and who say they've gotten sick, people who have eaten the meat and are wondering whether and are waiting to find out whether they do get sick, and then people who have thrown out the meat because of the recall. Reporting live from outside the Maple Leaf plant, I'm Michelle Chung.
All right, nice job, Michelle. We could hear you even if you couldn't hear yourself. Now, this outbreak is raising a lot of questions about food safety and regulations in this country. Tonight, Canada's health minister says he is satisfied with work done by public officials, but Tony Clement is also raising concerns about the company at the heart of this story. Maureen Taylor has more on that right now.
The Maple Leaf food plant remains closed today, and food safety officials say when it reopens, every product coming off the line will be tested for Listeria contamination, at least in the short term. That's not the way the plant operated before this outbreak. Yesterday, Maple Leaf Foods told CBC News that its own routine testing of equipment picked up Listeria contamination before people started getting sick.
We would occasionally find a positive Listeria swab, in which case we sanitize that complete area and we test again.
Because those second tests were negative, government regulations don't require the company to test any of the food products that come off the line. That doesn't make sense to this food safety expert.
If the company says that they are acting according to protocols, obviously something is not right, because 12 dead and up to 60 people sick is a very serious outbreak, so those protocols need to be reevaluated.
Even Canada's health minister from the Democratic Convention in Denver says he'd like to know more about that.
Because it makes sense to me that if there is a positive source that it in any way could potentially come in contact with a food source, then we want to get to the bottom of that.
A government food inspector was on site at Maple Leaf Foods, but according to the CFIA, that inspector filed no report of positive Listeria tests at the plant. Now the agency is going through company records to see what kind of contamination was occurring in the days and weeks leading up to this outbreak. Maureen Taylor, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, the Prime Minister says he is also concerned about the outbreak, and today he offered condolences to those affected by it.
I think we all feel tremendously for those who have been affected by this. This is a terrible development. And I want to express my, obviously, my condolences to those families that have been affected. You know, I think all of us, and obviously I include my own family in this, we expect that when we shop, that the things we buy or that we eat are going to be safe. This is a serious concern.
Stephen Harper speaking to reporters in Ottawa about the listeriosis outbreak. And coming up just a little bit later in the show, we will have a reaction from the family of one of the victims of listeriosis. That tape coming up a little bit later in the hour. We also have continuing coverage of this story online, including information on the meat recall, listeriosis, and what you can do to keep your family safe. It's all online right now at cbc.ca/Toronto. To the weather now.